Hayao Lee, the writer of this story, is one of the most famous novelists in Korea. He lived between 1907 and 1942, so his short stories give us a good chance to get a glimpse of lives of people at that time. Okay, let's get it started. Nostalgia. Although wild roses and other flowers are growing, my garden is so small that it's not easy to find any empty space. Plus, some part of my garden is covered with pebbles, so it's actually smaller than it looks. When chrysanthemums and sunflower grow thick and cover the pebbles in the late summer, my garden looks much smaller. A large part of sky is blocked by the roof and the fence of my house. I have to step on something to look over the Dae-dong River, which is flowing down the hill. I feel sorry for my wife, who has to take care of our children and house chores as well as herself in a small, tool-like house. I'm lucky because I can spend half of the day outside of the house, but she's like nothing but a bird in a cage. Even though it's their choice to spend most of the day in the house like a jail, as a husband, I have to say I'm sorry for all wives who are in the same shoes as my wife. All I can do for my wife is take her to a movie or eat out just a couple of times a month. But it can be stressful for my wife to compare the fantasy in a movie with the realities. Most ordinary people have difficulties accepting their realities as part of their life. After I realized that her health was getting worse, I tried to find the reason. She took medication for insomnia, lack of appetite, and other symptoms, but it didn't work. The doctor didn't know why. But I thought that she's grown sick and tired of a city life. Our house, which is only 99 square meters, is actually too small for her. Plus, she's been tired from the house chores all by herself. What made it worse was my selfishness and stubbornness like other husbands. Husbands are obstinate and always ask for more from their wives, even though they already have a lot. They act like a king at home, and they're always dreaming of something away from their home. Husbands have more tentacles of desire than the number of millipede's legs, and a daydreaming of achieving something that's unrealistic. They make their own kingdom in their mind and keep their wives away from it. Their wives have to stay farther away from the kingdom of their husband than anyone else. I'm one of those husbands. I'm embarrassed for not being able to pay my wife back for even 100 of what she's given me. Husbands act as if making their own kingdom is their privilege, but they don't know how much they hurt their wives. So I have pity on my wife, because husbands, including me, are mean. I guess my wife became tired of living in such a small house. I feel sorry and responsible for that. One day, she talked to me in the morning about her plan to rejuvenate herself. I'd like to go to my hometown in the countryside. It was not actually unexpected because she's been to her hometown every year, and the time was coming up for this year. I think I need to take a look at my family there and also take a break, she said, but I hesitated to agree with her because of the inconvenience I would have when she left. Well, I don't know, I equivocated in replying. I have things that I really want to see in the countryside, like pumpkin flowers, kidney beans, ground cherries, the field that leads to the sea, and the fog over the outfield. She said, "You're convincing me," I said, "and I like to eat corn. Do you remember the sound and the smell of the corn with red silk when you twist and eat the ears? Is there anything better than corn from the countryside? I used to use my skirt to bring the corns home I gathered in the field. Then I cooked and ate them. I loved them because they tasted like my mother's milk. They tasted better than mullet fish, Korean hard taffy, or anything else. I want to try them now," she said. "Who's going to take care of our children and house chores if you leave?" I asked. One of her relatives, who was visiting, was going to take care of house chores after she left, so it gave her a good excuse to go to her hometown. "Don't you think that you'll be so much worried about me if you leave home?" I said. "It's going to be a good chance for you to try a bunch of junk food, right? Help yourself. I know this ain't going to be your first time," she said sarcastically. "Are you really okay with that? I don't trust you." I could read her mind. She was saying the opposite of her thought. She frowned, and she tried to change the subject. "There's one more reason for visiting my mom's," she said. I could guess the reason before she told me. It was 10,000 won, the money that her older brother promised her. "What are you gonna do with the money?" "I'm not interested in your brother's money. I'll just try to be careful not to be distracted by the money," I said. "Hey, don't worry. You're not gonna take the money from me, are you?" she said. "Nope," I said. "Don't be so sure. All you've got now is just a piano," she said. "I have a couple of books in my room, and some flowers in my garden too. Why would I need more?" I said. It might sound like the part of the phrase is that poor, but honest poets write. But basically I was okay with honest poverty, even though I sometimes miss luxury. I admitted that the two different values were conflicting, and I didn't know which one would be better. But at the moment, I was on the side of poor, but honest living. I thought she could know me better than me, so she would be right about me. I'm not gonna spend any of that money, and you never think of taking it from me? She said. I hope so, I said. She leered at me when I said it with my hands joining together. She became busy packing from that day on,